Hi there, guys. Shaun here from 5-Star Marine with... Oh, you're not Jay.
I'm Jay.
Oh, you're Jay.
Hello, I'm Jay.
I'm confused. There's too many people here.
I'm Jay.
Okay, well, this is a serious version of our 5-Star Marine YouTube videos. We don't normally do these. We just have fun. But in recent weeks, we've been having some unforeseen incidents happening on the sea due to the weather season that we're in. And we think it's very important that we bring to you some public service beach safety announcements. So we're invited local expat, rescue volunteer, first aid trainer. Actually, he trains all of our staff here at 5-Star Marine. Vinnie, so say hello to Vinnie.
Hi, guys.
My history in this, well, I run boats and I also used to be an open water lifeguard. And this is just some guy who turned up today.
Hello, I'm Jay.
Jay, what's your history with water safety?
I don't know, 15 years as a water sports manager around the world, running beach clubs and hotel water sports stuff. Is that good enough?
That works. And you were a water safety expert on a movie set.
I'm also a safety boat driver, first aider.
Yes. Okay, so what we want to talk about in all seriousness today, and we will get serious, is there have been some accidents or incidents on the west coast of Phuket. And Vinnie has responded to a few of them himself personally. And it's where people have not followed the basic rules of beach safety. So I think we did a video not so long ago about making sure that if there's a red flag up, that you don't go in the water. But I think what we should do today is talk a little bit about why this happens during this season. So I'm going to go to Jay, who's the expert on weather here in Phuket, doing all your weather shorts. So Jay, during the season that we're in, which is our wet season, which generally starts kind of June, July and goes through to October, November, why is the West Coast a less safe area to go into the sea, and why do you need to more precisely follow the advice of the lifeguards on the beach and emergency responders like Vinnie?
Hi, Shaun. Thanks very much. It's a great question. Nice to be here on your panel. Just to let you know, my name's Jay the Shark. As Shaun rightly said, I'm just here. But I do have
Everyone knows your name. You say it 10 times a video.
I'm trying to just give them the back. I'm trying to be a serious video.
Yeah, now let's just get to the point.
For 15 years, I was a water sports manager and instructor. I'm a senior dinghy instructor.
What does senior dinghy instructor mean?
Well, it means I can teach instructors how to instruct sailing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a safety boat driver as well.
Why haven't you taught me?
And jet ski instructor.
Really?
Water ski instructor.
Really?
Kayak instructor.
Really?
Open boat canoe instructor.
Really?
Yes.
You're totally underutilized in our company.
I'm just Jay. Hello. That does that a lot.
Anyway, you were just some guy that we put on camera to have some fun with.
Yes, generally. The reason the beaches on the west coast this time of year during the rainy season are a little bit rougher and a little bit more crazy is due to the weather conditions. So the wind blows from that way towards the west coast, which creates more waves, which makes it more dangerous, and then that creates more rip currents as well. That's pretty much it without getting into too much detail. You cool with that?
So we've got more waves, more wind, and more rip current, which means that the sea becomes less safe.
Yes, and can I just say, we've only got 2 microphones, hence why Shaun and I are sharing like it's an ice cream.
I know, I thought it was because our romantic video brought us closer together.
Yeah, that came out actually. I just double checking. Anyway, there you go.
So what we're going to do is go to Vinnie, because Vinnie is responding to these kind of incidents, Vinnie, and I think, okay, we can talk prevention. Prevention is don't go in the sea, but a lot of people we know already have not been listening to that. So let's talk about, if we see an incident on the beach, what would you as an emergency responder want the people watching this video to do? What is the first step?
Follow the flags. Don't go in the water. On a serious note, if you do see somebody drowning, you need to get the help of lifeguards. You need to get professionals. Don't try and go in the water. Not long back, we had a Thai doctor that followed in a foreigner and unfortunately succumbed to the same outcome as the foreigner who's trying to help. So
the basic, I think when I was taught open water kind of lifeguarding, the basics was we don't want you to go in because then we might have 2 people we have to respond to rather than 1. It's better to get the experts involved as fast as possible. That is, and in Phuket, that is, if you're on a beach with lifeguards, go to lifeguards. If you're on a beach with no lifeguards, go to the nearest hotel who should have trained lifeguards on staff, because I saw in the news, Jay, you always report the news amazingly for us. The Phuket Hotels Association just ran, in conjunction with the Australian government and the Australian Lifesaving Society, a open water lifeguard course, of which I believe there was 50 or 60 hotel staff that engaged in that, and that's an annual thing that happens here. So I think what Vinnie is saying is right. We certainly do not want extra victims in the water.
Exactly.
So if you have training, then do respond, but if you do not have training, stay out of the water. And I think that's the same with you when you do any emergency response.
Completely.
I've seen some of your Facebook posts where you've turned up to incidents. I think your last one was funny, but we shouldn't laugh about it, is that there was a drunk doctor on site or a drunk first aider on site trying to intervene. Did you want to kind of cover that story, Vinnie?
So
name names.
I never got his name. He was, I think he was an English guy, very drunk. It was around 8 o'clock in the morning, and instead of helping,
drunk at 8 o'clock in the morning.
it was.
Where was this?
This was Patong. This was a very good night out for somebody. He demanded to help the victim by falling over her. And end up on floor with her.
Oh, really?
And I think that is a perfect example of why we don't want you to respond. I actually used to, 14 years ago, I had a shop right on the beachfront. And at nighttime, when people have a few drinks, they think it's a really good idea to go and play in the waves. And what we would have to do, part of our thing was to try and encourage people not to go in the waves, especially at nighttime, because they can't see rip currents, they can't see where they've gone. And I think recently you responded to an incident at nighttime, right?
There's been 6 or 7 incidents recently. 3 down in Coron Beach, 2 Indian tourists and a German. The same problem, they can't see what's going on in the water. They go in for a splash and it goes from a lot of fun to a lot of not fun very quickly.
Yeah.
Should we, can I jump in? Thanks. Should we explain what a rip current is?
You're the expert on that.
Isn't it just a grape that's been working out in the heat?
Oh, that is a bad joke.
I know it's probably not. I know it's not the right joke to say
honestly.
right now, but I thought that was quite. I thought about that last night, and I wrote it in my head. I thought, should I say this? And I thought, yes, I should, because it's funny. But I don't. No.
No, I think no. I think that's a bad joke.
I didn't find it funny.
As somebody who is a trained
No, it's
lifeguard.
a good joke. It's making a bit of lightheartedness out of rip. Look, okay, rip currents are very. Thank you.
Yes.
Rip currents are tides or currents which are under the water, which you cannot see from the shore, and you can't really see them from the air either. There is a slight way to notice them, but if you're not trained, you can't see them.
I would say lifeguards, they can see it because they're trained to look at how the waves break, and then a rip current can break based on how the waves break, but it's not 100% accurate. Like, it's like people ask me, what's the weather in Phuket going to be like today? Chance of rain, chance of wind.
Crystal ball.
Yes, and I think predicting rip currents, you're sure if you have a lot of experience in a certain beach area, you can do it. But again, what happens a lot in Thailand is we have people who bring their experience from their country to our country and expect our country to act the exact same as their country. It's a different sea, it's a different beach, it's a different wind, it's a different wind condition. And even when it comes down to emergency responding, Vinnie and I talk about this quite a lot. Vinnie trains my staff on not only first aid, but what we call foreigners stuck in the first aid system of Thailand.
Yes.
And I always say to Vinnie, in Australia, or even in an accident, one of the things that first responders are doing is providing emergency pain relief on the scene. Maybe they have the green whistles are what are given in Australian ambulances. And maybe if it's a really bad case, maybe it's a frontline morphine injection. In Thailand, most first aid responders don't carry any kind of pain relief. So you've got a broken leg, they're going to be putting your leg in, well, Vinnie knows you can explain it, Vinnie, you know better than I do.
We use vacuum splints, we use splints. The problem is Thai law restricts who can and can't give pain medication. So it's normally left to the advanced ambulance, which is a doctor and nurse from a hospital.
Yeah, and one of the things that I learned from you is that when you order an ambulance, you can say something very specific to the ambulance operators, which means that you get a particular kind of ambulance on scene, which then may have a doctor on board, which may provide the relief needed.
Exactly.
Did you want to give that advice to everybody listening?
So if it's a case where it's CPR involved, it's advanced life support, and this will pretty much ensure a hospital ambulance with, if not a doctor, senior practitioner nurse, advanced EMT, and some other staff.
And I actually used your advice the other day. I was at an incident that happened on the road. I could see it was not very well. immediately one of my friends who were in the car with me rang to a local ambulance, and I said, look, we actually need to ring to one of the central international hospitals and ask for a doctor on board ambulance to come. It was a response to a foreigner, and this foreigner just wasn't going to move without some kind of intervention from somebody.
Yeah.
And so I used the advice that you gave me, and I think it's very important advice for those who are foreigners in the country, thinking that, hey, in Australia we call 000, in the US they call 911. What do they call in the UK?
999.
My gosh, so many different numbers. In Phuket, what do we call?
1669.
So everyone's got a different number. And that's the first start of when things are different. It's like we got a different number, we got a different response pattern, we got different ambulance types, and we got different kind of emergency responders.
Yep.
And I know that for you have a fast response vehicle.
Yep.
And quite often you're first on scene.
We try to be.
And part of that is that when you are there, and if it's a foreigner, you're able to kind of help them interpret what kind of medical response they could do and expect to receive. And that's what I do as somebody who's experienced in the Phuket medical system. Is often I'm not responding to provide any kind of first aid, but I'm responding to explain to them what your steps are that are going to happen once the ambulance arrives. Okay, the ambulance comes. There's going to be no pain relief on board. You have to deal with it until you get to the hospital. The hospital probably won't provide immediate pain relief. They want to do an assessment first, and these are things that foreigners are not used to because it's not how their medical system works at home, and that translates across to beaches. Okay, you're not used to how the beach works here. Even me, when I was teaching my son to bodyboard, right? I was teaching him on Layan Beach, and it was in wet season, and even I would admit it, we got into a little bit of trouble. We got caught into a rip current, and we were just lucky that we just held onto the board and let the rip take us out, and then we were able to come back in. But a lot of people, one of the things that we're taught in Australian lifeguarding is just let it take you out, don't fight it.
Exactly.
And then once it's done, then use your energy to come back in. But if you're trying to fight it, you'll lose all your energy fighting the rip current, and often that's when people get in trouble themselves.
Yeah, I think the key thing, thank you for rip currents, as Shaun said, if you just let yourself go out of it, and it will eventually take you to a certain point where it's not pushing you out anymore.
You might get to Malaysia first.
Yeah, if you're at Malaysia, well,
bring
go
your
and enjoy
passport.
It. Exactly. But then the next thing is rather than swimming straight back in, if you swim along and follow the coastline, follow the beach, and then come in, because that rip current is going straight out like that. And so if you swim that way or that way, once you've just let it go out, you'll find that you'll then get out of it and you can swim to the beach. It's the panicking that is the major problem. When people just get, oh my God, I'm being taken out, and they panic and they lose all their energy and they're tired, and then that's it. You got no power.
And if you are a foreigner in Phuket in trouble, then you should contact Vinnie at Rescue Volunteers. Vinnie, what's the best place to get you?
What's your number, Vinnie? Let's give it out.
Yeah, let's give it. And Vinnie is single. He's interested in any type of person.
And he's good at CPR.
Yeah, very good at CPR. He has a lot of mannequins at home.
Oh, so this is a funny, but my rip current joke about raisins working out wasn't.
No, that wasn't funny.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Just checking.
So, Vinnie, if people are in Phuket and they want to get some advice, they need some help, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
For me, if you contact Rescue Team Volunteers Phuket on Facebook, somebody will get back to you with some advice. If it's an emergency, call 1669. Get
1669.
That's it.
1669.
And we don't do this often in our videos, Jay. Pretty much our videos are just a lot of fun. We never really give a call to action, but I would say that Vinnie here in the community does amazing work, both as a rescue volunteer. He's the snake guy in Phuket.
Oh, we've not even mentioned snakes yet.
Yeah, he's a first aid trainer. He trains all of our staff. He also did all of our first aid kits here in Phuket. So if you're a business in Phuket and you're involved in anything around the sea, Vinnie's your guy. He should come and he should teach your staff. He should lead your first aid training, because a lot of first aid trainers, and this is what I say to Vinnie when I hire him, is a lot of first aid trainers are not out in the field. So they've learned the basics of CPR as it responds to the book.
Yeah.
But I think that CPR, it's a little bit like I used to be a swim coach, right? And I couldn't swim butterfly. I could technically tell you how to do it, but I couldn't execute it. So when people would come to me and say, can you critique my butterfly? I'd be like, honestly, I can't do it myself, good luck. And I think it's the same case here. It's when you're getting first aid training, I think it's less about what happens in the book. Yes, the book needs to guide you, but I think it's a lot about what's happening in the field. And Vinnie has got first aid training in the field. and you're doing it every single day. So if you're a business owner in Phuket and you have anything around the sea, you're a boat company, you're a hotel that's beachfront, bring Vinnie into your hotel and have him train them. Second to that, if you're a foreigner visiting Phuket and you do take some of Vinnie's advice or you do contact him, make a small donation, help him do the work that he's doing. That's my call to action, because I think people like Vinnie and Phuket are so important in bridging the gap between the Thai medical system and foreigners needing help. That's the biggest thing. And when he does train my staff, it's not about just first aid, but first aid in a way where you're used to it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of Thai first aid doesn't understand some of the ways that first aid has evolved in Western worlds, where we need to ask for permission to cut open a top, where we need to ask permission before we put hands on. These are in Thai first aid. It's not such a big thing. They just want to get in, they want to get you in the ambulance and get you to the hospital. And I think this kind of training is really important to bridge the cultural barriers of first aid in a tourism province.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head with it's cultural, and that's really what we try and instill, and my volunteer work in the community is all about bridging the cultural differences, because the Thai staff here are really well trained. Their Thai medical system is phenomenal. They've got good training in place. It's just having sometimes a lack of language, sometimes just a different cultural way to do it.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just understanding what's happening to your body. Like when you're in a medical crisis, you're panicked already. But if you can take the step back and have somebody explain to you, this is what's going to happen, this is how it's going to happen, this is why it's going to happen, it takes a lot of the panic away. You know, we say to our team, in any first aid response scenario, the first thing you want to do is explain to the person what you're going to be doing to help. If someone's got a cut on the hand, okay, I'm going to clean this, it's going to sting a little bit, and then I'm going to cover it, and then this is our next step, right? Like, you know, a lot of that is just taking the time to explain to somebody what's going to happen, and that's what I love about your training, because part of what you're doing is teaching people how to explain what you're going to do to them and making sure that they understand it so there's no panic in the situation.
Exactly.
So that's our water safety video. We did do a full water safety video, but I think this is more relevant to what's happening right now in Phuket. We don't want to put out the big scary statistics of what's happening, but take it from somebody who's out in the field and responding. There are an abnormal amount of water incidents around Phuket, both where people have had medical emergencies, but also where lifeguards are doing extra work to pull people out. Like I see, Jay, you filmed a video not long ago, and part of the video, we didn't plan it this way, but there was an emergency in the middle of the video where the lifeguards had to run out to save someone.
Well, I just finished doing the beach safety video for the Phuket Tourism News, which comes out every other Sunday. And I was packing away, and then all of a sudden I heard the whistles go, and there was a lady that was caught out in the waves. And a guy had gone out to try to help her, and then he was caught as well. So the lifeguards then jumped on their little ATV and over there.
And even with me, like I was someone who used to teach swimming. I was trained first aid lifeguard. Then I used to teach lifeguard. But in Phuket Seas, I would go to the Thai lifeguards every single time and go to them. Please, can you help this person? I personally wouldn't go out because, again, it's their country, their sea, their conditions. They've been trained for it. And in a lot of Thai lifeguards, they've trained using Australian lifeguard trainers, but who have studied the sea. I don't know if you know this, Vinnie, but there's a professor in an Australian university who did an 8-year study on the rip currents of Phuket.
Wow.
And he is actually one of the four leading experts in rip currents on Phuket beaches. And the Australian lifeguards that they send out to train are actually personally learning from the professor who studied the sea here.
Awesome.
The other key thing about the lifeguards is a lot of them are locals to that beach. They've grown up on that beach, and each and every beach is very different. Surin Beach has got a different kind of conditions to Nai Harm Beach, to Karon Beach, to Patong Beach. They're all different. So the lifeguards are locals. They understand how the water works, how the waves work. They're there, so just use them. They're cool guys as well.
They're not there to stop your fun.
No,
and that's really, they're here to make sure you have a safe holiday.
And also, if you want to go swimming, you all stay in nice hotels. They've got swimming pools. Go and use them.
Yeah, and Vinnie's famous. You know Vinnie's famous?
Is he?
Yeah, he was
Really? Was he in Right Said Fred?
diver for the Meg. You were in the water making sure that the superstars were able to walk in ankle depth water.
I really was. I got to hold the umbrella for the Chinese star Wu Jing. I stopped the sun hitting his head.
Oh, this is awesome and amazing medic work there.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, Vinny, let's give that number again that they need to call if there's an emergency in Phuket. Remember, it's not 000, it's not 991, and it's not
999.
It is.
It's 1669. My best advice is get a Thai person and say Nung Hok Hok Gao. They will understand you need an ambulance and they will call one and they'll get it there a lot quicker than you trying to explain to the operator.
And if you see that it is an incident where it looks quite bad, then one of the things to request, like how we requested, we say we want a doctor on board ambulance and we want it from one of the international medical centres on Phuket. That's how we ask when we talk. Otherwise, you might get some ambulance that maybe is not equipped in the way that needs to be equipped.
Yeah.
But Vinny is always there at the first scene. This is what you should follow him on Facebook because he quite frequently is giving updates about some of the fun medical incidents that he's responding to and some of the more serious ones. But he does also give great advice on how to manage yourself in these situations.
We try.
Good.
All right, that's a good video.
It's a great video.
It feels like we gave too much information because we never do that.
I don't know. I'm still enjoying my joke about rip currents.
No, let's not talk about that anymore. Anyway, thanks to Vinny here. Kyle's going to put his Facebook page here. You should go and watch. You should follow him. And if you're visiting Phuket, any advice he gives, you should follow. How many years you been here, Vinny?
I've been here 10 years and 7 years in the ambulance.
7 years in the ambulance, but you're also a trained dive instructor
Did
as
you not
well.
have a house?
No.
7 years living in an ambulance must be tough.
I know. It's got a bed in the back though.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I was going to say he's got access to good drugs, but
Yeah.
I'm like,
Probably not the best way to
we
finish
can't
the
really
video.
finish the video
No.
that way.
Well, we just have.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, get to Vinny. Here he is. And that's it. Back to you guys. Have a great holiday. Have a safe holiday. That's the most important part. 5-Star Marine is focused on safety. That's why we want to bring a video like this to you, because we want you to have a safe holiday.
Thanks for watching.
Cheers, guys.
Subscribe, like, comment.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that bit.
all of that thing.
Oh, well. You're not waving.
No.
Why aren't you waving? He's waving. We're not going to go until... There we go. Thank you.